All right, so I guess we'll get started. If people trickle in, they trickle in. So I have to tell you that that they told me I was going to do this, or they asked me to do this. I guess Johanna said she asked me a couple weeks ago. I don't remember. It's probably me not remembering, but I realized I had to do this. I guess I should say on Monday afternoon. So we'll see how it goes. But hopefully there's some ideas that you guys can. You're right. So that's what we do. So hopefully there's some stuff that you guys can use with this. So this is my agenda really more to keep me in line than for you guys, and hopefully it'll be time to actually play with this stuff, and you can do some simple things. It's not as complicated as it sounds. So we'll talk about what app smashing is. All it really is, it was coined, I guess, by the guy Greg at EdTech Teacher, who maybe you've seen some conferences from him. He's really great. Greg Kulowick, I think is how I pronounce his last name. Definitely recommend looking at his stuff if you're interested more in this, and I have a link to some of his stuff that you guys can look later. But I guess he invented the term. All it really means is using more than one app together to create a final product. And it's, you think we have all these apps on our iPads. Let's use this one, then let's use this one, let's use this one to do 3 different things. But really, when you start to overlay stuff and create things using more than one, you can really do some pretty cool stuff and get the kids pretty engaged. So that's what it is. We'll overview and just demo some of the easy ones. I know that this was, I didn't write the actual description of this, but I guess it's pretty accurate. We will talk about explain everything, but not just explain everything, because there's some other ones I think that are pretty useful as well. Some of the ones that I use all the time are ones that you guys may or may not use. Explain everything, Notability. A lot of you guys use Notability, right? I feel like that's the one the kids use when they're taking notes and stuff. As much as that's just replacing a notebook. A lot of the kids are using it and they know it well. Google Earth, most of us have seen. Google Maps, and then Telegami. And then hopefully talk about putting together a final product with everything. And then I'll show you guys some student samples, which I think is really the cool stuff. Stuff that we did back in December, all the way to stuff that we just did this week. So hopefully you'll have some ideas of what to use in your class, and then time to create. So I first want to say, I guess, as a foreign language teacher, this stuff is really useful to us in the foreign language realm, because we want kids to be able to speak as much as possible and to write, to read, and to listen. So for us, having apps where we can get the kids not only to write but to speak is really useful. But I also see that being used in other areas as well. So hopefully we'll be able to see a lot of the different uses for them. So I'm going to go over to my iPad, and you guys, if you have iPads, feel free, and definitely, I would definitely say, play with this stuff as I go through them, especially if it's new. If the stuff that I'm talking about is you already know it or it's irrelevant to you, I'm not going to be upset if you are on your iPads or devices doing other things. So feel free, or if you walk out and go to another session that you find will be more useful. Hopefully this will be useful to you. So the first one that Johanna explained was that she put in the description was explain everything. So if you guys want to go to explain everything, and I put all these in a folder today. I put it under app smashing. Explain everything is the one on the right there. It looks like I don't even know what that is. It's a little person with an exclamation point on their head, and you have, with explain everything, you have a lot of different options. You can see I don't have really anything on mine because I don't really use it. The kids are using it. I'm not really using it as a tool for myself. It's really more for the kids to create. And also, anything that I create doesn't end up on explain everything. It ends up on the camera roll. And that's a really important piece of information that I feel like a lot of people don't know about the iPad. You think your camera roll is where you keep all your photos and your videos that you take, but it's also where you store a lot of the things that you've created to make them, to edit them and to make them better later. So if you go to the little plus button, I don't have a pointer or anything. I could actually use it on explain everything, and I will in a second. But if you go to the plus button on the top left, that's how you create a new explain everything, a new project. And you have a template. You can choose whichever template you want. We'll just go with this simple one here. And all I want to do right now is just really quickly go through some of the features. You can find all this stuff online, and to be perfectly honest, Greg, who I mentioned earlier, and a bunch of other people explain this way better than me. So I definitely recommend, getting on YouTube and just playing with it. But basically, probably the most common tool is the pen right here, and so you can write anything you want on this, and you can write. Down here, arrows, if you want to make arrows and point to different things and move them around, you can do that. Best way to learn how to do this is to play with it. This little feature here allows you to put text in, so you can put text in however you want, and you can change the font and play with it quite a bit. This plus button here is really important because you're going to want to maybe use media or different things that you have. So you can take a picture, an existing photo or video that you have from your camera roll. You can take a new picture, a new video, something from the web, a file, sound, really anything. And you can take it and put it in Explain Everything. And that's really the cool thing about this app is that you can take anything you want and put it in it. So if I go to my existing photos or videos, you can see here that right here I have some videos that actually the kids in my class has created. This is a video, and this is a picture, just a screenshot. So I can take this video and I can put it in to Explain Everything. And I can make it big, I can make it small, I can move it around. And now it's inside this app. You can do anything you want with it using the other features. If I have something on there that I didn't want on there, I use this X button, and I can just X it out, and it's gone. So that's another little feature that it has. Then this little laser pointer. And that's really useful when you're presenting, because the cool thing about Explain Everything, and I think the best feature for me, is that you can record your voice over it and make it into a presentation. And then you have this little tool over here that's a little bit more advanced, and I'm not going to talk too much about it. This one down here will get rid of whatever you just did. So it's a little undo button. I actually forget what this does. This you can control the screen, this little magnifying glass over here, and make the whole thing bigger or the whole thing smaller. And that's a tool that you use generally as you're talking.
The eraser?
Oh yeah, did I miss the eraser?
Or I didn't get it.
Oh no, you know what? When you write in here,
I see it.
then you just erase. Yeah. Yep. I usually use the undo button, and honestly, I don't write a lot of stuff on here. And most of the kids actually now use the text. They type stuff in. And so the really cool thing about this app, I think, if you ever want to do any screencasting, if you're into the flipped classroom or you want to show kids how to create something where they're going to talk, down here you have this little record button, and when you press record, now it's recording, and anything I'm saying right now is being recorded over this. And if I use the features on here like this target, and I want to say, hey, this video is blah, 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 because this arrow is this, and this connects to this, then you have your little laser pointer to show people what's happening. You can also use the little magnifying glass as you're speaking to sort of make something smaller or make something bigger. It seems like right now you're looking at it saying this is insane and it's a lot of stuff, but when you play with it, you start with just the really simple stuff, and it becomes pretty easy to play with it. And I can see Prudy has a picture on hers that she's cropped out using a different part of it as well. So there's all kinds of stuff that you can do with this. But I think I'm going to stop recording my voice. Probably the most powerful part of this, Explain Everything, to me is your ability to, like I said, to take anything. It can be a document, it can be anything, and put it in here. So it's kind of like, Explain Everything is kind of like a place to put things that you later want to explain further in more detail. The feature down here, the slides, so I have this one slide and then I've used up all the space and I want to make another slide. You can create another slide by pressing the plus button. Anything that you've recorded on this slide here is still here, and if you add another slide, you can see it's at 0000, so you record again over there, and when it plays out all at once. So when you actually export this thing, it will play like as a video. Now, what do you do, and I think this is really important and something that people don't really think about that often, like you have this Explain Everything project that you've created, and now the kid's got to submit it. And what happens if the kid submits it and you don't have Explain Everything in the device you're using to evaluate it? The important part of this, when you have this and when you use this, is knowing how to put it someplace where you can see it. And so down here, there's a couple little things that you see, and I'm going to focus on these two. This one, I just clicked on the first one. It says photo to camera roll. All this is going to do is take the image on here, not the video, just the image, and export it. Pretty much not what we want to do, because I've recorded my voice over here. So if a kid does something where they record their voice and they're doing a project, this is what they really want to use to export this stuff. So the movie that you've created, this short movie, you can now take this and export it to your camera roll. And that's really where sort of all the magic happens. Because once you have this in your camera roll, Now, if they send it to you via their camera roll on Edmodo as an assignment or whatever, you can play it on any device. It doesn't have to be played through or explain everything. It's an MP4 or whatever that is. Yeah, so you'll be able to play that. The other cool thing about this is, and this gets into the app smashing thing, is now that, and it's cool because it gives you little as it's rendering the video, it gives you little tips. It's really, the guy who did this really did a good job with it. But now it's on my camera roll, and I can do anything with this. So like if I wanted to create an iMovie using this as part of the iMovie, I have it on my camera roll, which is a really neat feature. So Explain Everything can be used on its own as a teacher to do screencasting. You're talking about a specific, historical event, or you're talking about, a grammar point that's really boring to talk about in class. You can create a screencast, and I used to do that with Explain Everything quite a bit. I don't use it anymore for a screencasting tool because I think it's more powerful for the students to use as something to create projects with. So that's really just using Explain Everything by itself with maybe some stuff, like I said, from the camera roll and other places that you have. But you can use this app with a lot of different apps to make something even cooler. So the whole app smashing thing talks about, like I said, using more than one app at a time. So I think a relevant one for almost all of us would be Google Earth. So like if you're teaching art or whatever, and you're interested in, I don't know anything about art, but specific art from Italy or architecture, you can go to Google Earth and you can type in whatever you want. I don't know. Give me some interesting art stuff, Courtney. Florence, Italy. So we'll go to Florence. What's the name of the? What's the name of that cathedral? Duomo or whatever? I don't know. Whatever. But if you go to Florence, it takes you over to Florence, and I'm sure most of you guys have played with Google Earth. If you haven't, you're really missing out. And then you can go to specific parts of Florence. Let's just go to, I don't know, this little square looks cool down here. And then you do this little guy right here. This little guy takes you to the street view. You take him, plop him down here. And now you're in the middle of Florence, right? Now you get all these people. I always think isn't that like a breach of privacy? All these people, anyway. So you can spin around to wherever you want. This statue looks pretty cool. So the student's talking about this particular statue, and they want to do a presentation on it. Now it is what?
That's the City Hall.
Sweet. I don't know. I should know. I've been there, but a long time ago. Listen, all you history people know exactly what you're talking about. So anyway,
Why I'm back.
Oh, yeah, I don't know why you're back either. So if you're on Google Earth and Street View is really powerful, now you can just how do you use this? How would you guys use this if you wanted to put this and explain it?